10,000 men. Gone, not defeated, not scattered, simply erased from history. This is the story of Rome's most haunting mystery, a mystery that has consumed historians, archaeologists, and mystery hunters for over 19 centuries. A mystery that strikes at the very heart of what we think we know about one of history's most meticulous record keepers, the Ninth Spanish Legion. Legio is Hispana. For over 200 years, they were the iron fist of Roman conquest. They bled for Caesar in Gaul. They crushed rebellions in Germania. They were there when Rome needed its most ruthless, most disciplined warriors. And then, nothing. After 108 AD, the Ninth Legion disappears from every record, every inscription, every historical document, as if 10,000 soldiers, along with their families, their support staff, their entire existence, had been swallowed by the earth itself. But here's what makes this truly terrifying. Rome didn't lose armies. Rome kept records of everything. Every victory, every defeat, every disgrace was meticulously documented. The Romans were obsessed with their own history. They carved it into stone, wrote it on scrolls, preserved it for eternity. So, when an entire legion vanishes without a trace, without a battle report, without even a memorial, something is desperately wrong. Let me take you back to their glory days, because understanding what they were makes their disappearance even more inexplicable. The Ninth wasn't just any legion. They were elite, battle-hardened. When Julius Caesar needed troops, he could trust absolutely he called on the Ninth. They fought with him in Gaul, witnessed his crossing of the Rubicon, and helped establish the very foundations of the Roman Empire. After Caesar's assassination, they continued serving with distinction. They marched through Germania's dark forests. They held the line at the empire's most dangerous frontiers. Wherever Rome needed a symbol of its unbreakable power, the Ninth was there. Then came Britannia. Britain was meant to be Rome's crowning achievement beyond the continent, a remote, mysterious island brought under imperial control. The Ninth was stationed there, a permanent reminder to the Celtic tribes that resistance was futile. In 60 AD, they faced their greatest test. Queen Boudica, a name that still sends shivers through British history, raised the largest rebellion Britain had ever seen. Her forces destroyed entire Roman settlements, massacring thousands. The Ninth marched to intercept her. What happened next was catastrophic. Boudica's forces ambushed the legion, slaughtering perhaps half their number in a single devastating engagement. The survivors limped back to their fortress, bloodied but not broken. Rome sent reinforcements. The rebellion was eventually crushed. The Ninth was rebuilt, its ranks filled with fresh recruits. They continued their duties in Britain, maintaining order, building roads, keeping the peace. For nearly 50 more years, they served. We have records of them repairing Hadrian's Wall, conducting patrols, maintaining the northern frontier. Everything seemed normal. And then, sometime after 108 AD, the records simply stop. No farewell. No final battle mentioned. No disbandment notice. The Ninth Legion is mentioned in a document dated around 108 A.D., and then it's as if they never existed. Now, here's where historians start arguing, where theories spiral into obsession, where every scrap of evidence becomes a potential clue to the greatest mystery of the Roman Empire. Theory 1. The Highland Massacre. Picture this. The Caledonian tribes of northern Scotland, fierce, unconquered, and increasingly bold, have been raiding Roman territory. The Ninth is ordered north to teach them a lesson, to push beyond Hadrian's Wall and into the Highlands. But the Highlands aren't Germania. They aren't Gaul. These are mountains that swallow armies, forests where 10 men can ambush 1,000. The Caledonians know every valley, every pass, every place perfect for an ambush. The Ninth marches into the Highlands. After the supposed disappearance, Rome pulled back from Scotland. Hadrian's Wall became not just a frontier, but a firm boundary. Something had gone terribly wrong in the north, and Rome wanted no part of it anymore. But here's the problem. Where are the bodies? Where's the battlefield? Where are the Romans left archaeological footprints everywhere they went. When legions died, they left evidence. The Teutoburg Forest Massacre in Germania left remains we're still finding today, 2,000 years later. Scotland? Nothing. Not a single conclusive battlefield. Not a mass grave. Not even a significantly large cache of Roman weapons or armor that would indicate a major defeat. It's as if the Ninth never went to Scotland at all. Theory 2. Lost in the East. What if the Ninth never died in Britain? What if they were transferred? Some historians have found tantalizing hints that the Ninth, or parts of it, may have been redeployed to the eastern frontier, possibly to Judea, or to fight against the Parthian Empire in what is now Iran. Rome was constantly shuffling its legions, sending them wherever threats emerged. An inscription found in the Netherlands mentions the Ninth in what might be a later context. Some records suggest legion movements eastward during this period. If this theory is correct, the Ninth could have been destroyed in one of Rome's eastern wars, conflicts that were poorly documented, that ended in embarrassment, that Rome preferred to forget. The Bar Kokhba revolt in Judea, for instance, was so brutal that Rome lost an entire legion there too, the 22nd Deotariana. They also vanished from records. Perhaps the Ninth met a similar fate, destroyed in a desert ambush, or massacred in a siege, or simply worn down by years of hard campaigning until nothing remained but scattered survivors reassigned to other units. This theory has appeal because it explains the silence. If the Ninth was destroyed far from Rome in a distant war that ended poorly, covering up their loss would have been easy. Out of sight, out of mind, out of history. But again, where's the proof? Where are the inscriptions from survivors? Where are the Eastern archaeological sites that show Ninth Legion presence? We have some hints, some fragments, but nothing conclusive. Theory 3. The bureaucratic truth. What if there was no dramatic end? What if the answer is painfully mundane? Legions weren't immortal institutions. They could be disbanded, merged with other units, or simply fade away when their numbers dwindled below operational levels. Perhaps the Ninth was never destroyed in a single catastrophic event. Perhaps they were simply discontinued. After the Boudica disaster, the Ninth was badly damaged. Maybe they never fully recovered. Maybe their recruitment pool dried up. Maybe over decades, through attrition, disease, and small skirmishes, their numbers dwindled until there weren't enough soldiers left to constitute a legion. At that point, Roman bureaucracy might have simply struck them from the rolls. The remaining soldiers would be reassigned. The legion's history would be archived. Its number would be retired, never to be used again. This happened to other legions. It's not dramatic, but it's historically plausible. The problem? Romans usually documented these things. When legions were disbanded, there were records, inscriptions, administrative documents. For the Ninth, we have silence. So let's examine what little evidence we actually have, because this is where the mystery becomes truly maddening. The archaeological silence is deafening. When you're looking for a lost legion, you're looking for specific things: fortresses, equipment caches, mass burial sites, battle debris. The Romans left traces everywhere. Every legion had distinctive equipment, stamps on their materials, architectural signatures in their fortifications. For the Ninth in Scotland, almost nothing conclusive. Some historians point to scorch marks at certain forts, signs of hasty abandonment, but nothing that definitively says the Ninth Legion died here. The inscriptions are even more puzzling. We have stones commemorating Ninth Legion members up until around 108 A.D., then nothing. Other legions continue to be mentioned in inscriptions throughout the 2nd century, but not the Ninth. It's what's called an argumentum ex silentio, an argument from silence. The absence of evidence becomes evidence of absence. But it's frustrating evidence because it doesn't tell us why. Later, Roman records are perhaps most telling. Military documents from the mid-2nd century list all of Rome's active legions. The Ninth isn't among them. When historians later tried to document legion histories, they seemed confused about the Ninth's fate, or chose not to discuss it at all. This suggests that by 150 A.D., the Ninth's disappearance was already old news, perhaps deliberately obscured, perhaps simply forgotten in the chaos of subsequent events. So where does that leave us? Standing in the ruins of York, where the Ninth was last definitively stationed, we're left with more questions than answers. Did 10,000 men march to their doom in Scottish mists? Were they sacrificed in desert wars Rome wanted to forget? Or did they simply fade away, victims of bureaucratic efficiency rather than battlefield glory? The truth is, we may never know. And perhaps that's what makes the Ninth Legion story so compelling. In an age where we think we can Google anything, where every question seems answerable, here's a mystery that has defied solution for nearly 2,000 years. Somewhere in the gaps of history, between the last inscription and the endless silence that followed, 10,000 men ceased to exist. Their fate remains one of ancient history's most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. The Ninth Legion, once the pride of Rome, now nothing but questions carved in stone and theories whispered in the dark.